Ladies and gentlemen, it is your General Greene. God bless you on this beautiful Saturday. A massive victory, of course, in Jesus Christ the King. Yeah, we've got some amazing news coming. I'm going to go over the news, the politics, what's going on with Trump, Walmart, and a whole lot more. So please like and share. God bless you. Know that Jesus loves you, and so does the General, and so does my Father here at islandproject.com. Absolutely beautiful morning. We've had the sun popping in and out here through the clouds. See the baby seals playing around. It's really pretty epic. Birds everywhere, seagulls. Very, very cool. But today we're going to talk about crypto and this massive accumulatory pump that is about to happen right now. And by the way, God tells me these things. There is a massive, massive pump that is imminent, and I hope that you are in. I hope your money is out of the banks. I hope you are participating because Donald Trump has been all throughout the Middle East, and we have some major announcements coming from the Middle East very, very soon. Donald Trump, of course, has been brokering very massive crypto-related deals and blockchain-related deals in places like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom, and United Arab Emirates. So what do I see happening next? If I'm just going to break down, kind of cut through the noise here for a minute, is I really do believe this is the last shakeout before the breakout. I believe that you're going to see Bitcoin at 200K imminently. In fact, I've even been speaking with family and friends. I spoke with one of my good friends yesterday. You know who you are. And I told him, I'm like, look, bro, get in. I told him straight up, if you've been thinking about buying Bitcoin, do it now. And, tell your dad, tell your family, tell your friends, but expect a quick 2 to 3x minimum, in my opinion. And that's what I think is going to happen. So what I am recommending here today is you want to be accumulating. You want to be super aggressive. This is the time to go all in. And of course, this is the reset I've been warning about for a very, very long time. So let's talk about what's also going on in the tariff war. Donald Trump called out Walmart earlier this morning and said, look, you need to eat the tariffs. Walmart is threatening raising prices on Americans for consumer goods because they say they're paying a lot heftier fees as a result of the tariffs on China, even though they've been paused, the tariffs on Vietnam, and the tariffs in a lot of the areas where, of course, Walmart buys all of its goods and inputs. Now, there is economics to back this up, and let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, obviously, tariffs are a form of increased costs. And even though it serves the United States long term and will help us clean up the budget, it helps us balance our books, hopefully. I mean, that's the intention of doing all this. It does, however, raise input costs. So it's not necessarily what Walmart is saying is wrong. I mean, their costs of inputs are going up, and that's going to reflect into consumer pricing, which is what I've said for a very long time, that inflation is here to stay, that no matter what Donald Trump does, and God bless him, it doesn't even matter what the president or any other president does. The only thing that you can guarantee in your life, higher prices, massive hyperinflation, extreme dollar collapse, real estate, homes, natural resources, food, air, and water, prices of everything to continue to skyrocket. Now, of course, as they intentionally, by design, collapse the dollar, the money's got to go somewhere. Thank you, Maddie. God bless you. Jesus Christ is with you. The money has got to flow somewhere. So where is the money going to flow? Bitcoin, crypto, XRP, Ethereum, taking a breather, but up like 40, 50% over the last 7 days. RSR, real estate. I did that huge report for you guys yesterday talking about $10 million plus properties, like what the Island Project owns. Acquisitions in that category of hyper niche property is up 40 to 50% in various parts of the country today. Whether or not that's Hawaii, or it's Maui, or it's Florida, or it's beautiful San Diego, as you see behind me today. I mean, there are $100 million homes that sit all across these shores. And I want you to think about this for a minute, because my grandfather paid, I think I've mentioned this before, but he lived in Long Beach when he was a young man raising my father. I think he spent like $30,000 on his house in cash. And that same home today is worth $5 million. The dollar is dead. Your politicians and the criminal central bank hate your guts. They are extortionists. They are the mafia. Okay, these are not publicly represented. You didn't vote for the central bank or Jerome Powell. These are private sharks. These are private entities. No different than a mobster showing up at your shop and telling you you've got to pay him 40, 50% of all your income. Otherwise, you won't get protection. So it's amazing, you know, Americans, they go along with this. They forget that 1776 was declared on a simple few percentage point T-tax. Yet most of Americans work, if they're dumb, because wealthy individuals pay no tax. Donald Trump pays no taxes. Jeff Bezos pays very little tax. Amazon pays very, very little tax. Again, the Fortune 100 and the rich elite not only offshore their monies in safe havens, but they have various vehicles and legal entities that make sure they never pay tax. It is only the American slave here in the United States of America that obeys, complies, and does what they are told. The elites do whatever they want. And you must understand this. Warren Buffett, for example, who I'm not a fan of, but I did watch a documentary on him just out of curiosity. I like to study the enemy, right? Where does he come from? Maybe there's something I can learn. Maybe there's new information. Well, I was watching a documentary on Buffett, and the only thing I really learned about him is that the secret to his success was not his investments. It was his politics. Salomon Brothers, for example, collapsed, one of his major investments, when I was really too young to remember it. I was speaking to my father about this, and basically 2,000 plus employees and the entire company was set to burn in hell, literally forced to declare bankruptcy. Their fixed income team and their bond department, I'm gonna let this helicopter pass. Pretty dope. Pretty sick, but basically their fixed income group at Salomon Brothers committed crimes. So Warren Buffett was going down, literally. The whole company was going down. This was in the early days of Berkshire Hathaway. But what happened? Long story short, Buffett, who played politics, was able to save the company in the first too big to fail scam of the century, which then later resulted in him doing it again in 2008 and 09. Again, Warren Buffett was a huge proponent of breaking all rules, scamming the American public and infusing trillions and billions of dollars into his failed investments. Otherwise, Warren Buffett would be in bankruptcy today, like many Americans are. Many Americans lost their homes in 2008 and 09. Many of you lost huge amounts of income in 2020, lost your business during 2020 as the government, with the giant hammer and forceful fist of tyranny, waded in with its crony fake capitalism. And I'm a capitalist, but I do not believe in bailouts, and I don't believe in cronyism or anything like that. Anything these scam artists stand for. And they waded in and destroyed many of you and the American public and pissed all over your graves. So after watching that documentary, again, it only just re-emphasized what a loser these people truly are. How they play by a special set of rules and screw you and all of America. Just like Warren Buffett and the late Charlie Munger have been telling you Bitcoin is a scam their entire lives. Now they sail into the grave of their retirement as Bitcoin, mark my words, will be trading around 200 to 300K this year. Facts are facts. Who was right gets proven to be right. And we even saw this with who's the who's the prognosticator, I forget his name, another dude who I don't really watch, but a lot of Americans do, called Bitcoin a scam for years, now says you should buy it and Bitcoin's here to stay. And I told you this would happen, that once Bitcoin was obvious and most of all the tremendous gains had already been made, then all these cucks would tell you to get in. And that's how it always works. Again, the American system is a fraud. The US stock market is a scam. The elites do not have any rules or laws. Only you do. And you really need to let this sink in, and you should teach your children about this, because the public schooling system, of course, isn't. They teach you to be a slave. They teach you to be taxed. They don't teach you the secrets to not be taxed that all the elites know. They don't teach you how to make money. They don't teach you how to keep it. They don't teach you how to think for yourself. By the way, I was watching a movie. It's kind of like the new Superman rendition. I was looking for something like PG's, kind of like PG-13 yesterday, so I'm watching it. Austin and I are sitting on the couch. It's like the new rendition of Superman, and I realized how even that film made, decades ago in the original version, but this newest one, which I forget who the director is about 10 years old. And I was realizing how it's actually predictive programming for what's currently taking place. For example, where is Superman from? Krypton. He's from Krypton. And what does Superman do? He's like an alien who seeds the planet. But he's an alien for good, to save humanity. And there's a bad alien. There was like the bad general guy who's trying to blow up the earth. So that's like the bad evil force. But Superman from Krypton, remember how kryptonite can affect the powers of Superman, is here to save everyone. And not only is he an alien from another planet, but he's merging the best of new technology with the current world. And he's got all the answers and superhuman strength. What does that remind you of? Well, it's obviously a play on AI, artificial intelligence, the new superhuman god that the American people are worshiping, and you shouldn't. And this idea that there's a good form of the tyranny and a bad form of the tyranny. I'll give you a specific example. The mark is rolling out now, the mark of the beast. And this is how they're going to sales pitch it to you, just so you're ready for this, just so you understand, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. But the way that this is going to be sold by these evil satanic bastards is they are actually going to sell a Republican version of the mark of the beast. There's going to be a good mark sold by the Republicans, right? This is going to be the brain microchip you're going to want to take, the safe one, according to them, the good one. There's going to be a 1776 patriotic mark. And then there's also going to be the boogeyman mark. The boogeyman one will be like the Democrat mark of the beast, and it'll be Bill Gates' version of it, or Klaus, you know who his name. You're going to want to stay away from that mark, but you're going to want to take. And they won't even call it the mark. They'll call it something else. It's the 1776 brain implant for all the idiotic slaves out there. And they're going to sell it as a good thing. And people are going to be installing the good mark in their forehead. But they won't take that Democrat mark, because that would be like tyranny over there. That's Satan over there. That's what they're reading about in the Bible. But no. What the new right-left paradigm is selling over here is going to be the good one. They always do that. They play dualities. Just like for this thing, which I'm not really allowed to talk about. Remember there was like a better version than the other versions? You remember that? There was one that wasn't so bad. Right? That way people could have the cognitive dissonance that they weren't really complying, that they were making a choice, but it's literally the same thing. They do this all the time, and all these messages play into the subconscious milieu of generalized society. By the way, thank you for all your prayers. I hope it's not too windy out today, by the way. You'll notice I'm growing my hair out. I'm going to grow it down to my ass like the old days. Why not? Might as well do it. I'm a California kid, originally from Cali. But I wanted to thank you for your prayers. We're prepping, of course, as I've been mentioning, baby Faith's heart surgery, which is what brings me up out here to this beautiful coastline today. And yeah, we appreciate your prayers. Donating a lot of blood, by the way. So over the next few days, pure bloods, my whole family's donating all the blood that is needed for baby face surgery. So I'm not really looking forward to that, to be honest, but it is what it is. I remember my dad, Papa John, telling us a story about this when he was in high school. My dad was a star athlete and strong guy, as you can tell, even in his later years. But he told me a story where he was donating blood for a good cause, and he was telling the nurse, like, oh, we got this, you know, opening up the vein, they're taking the blood, and are you sure, John, that you don't want to sit down and have a little orange juice after and take a break after? And my dad's like, oh, you know, he's a big, strong guy. He gets up and basically almost passes out. And he tells me like a few minutes later, he finds himself with the nurse sucking on a sippy cup of orange juice. So hopefully that's not me, because I really don't like doing these kinds of things, but it is important. And the pure blood's got to stick together, just like the bird nose there. It's funny too, as we're watching this Superman movie, just because it's, you know, we'll keep it, it's Saturday, let's have a good time a little bit. I'm watching the movie with my family, and immediately there's a commercial for some drug, and then it's listing all the side effects of it. Like my wife and I were looking at it, I was like, man, dude, like, it sounds like the disease over here, it was for obesity. We were like, it sounds like obesity is better than the actual recommendation they're giving to you. All this other stuff can kill you as a result of what they're trying to give you, when all you had to do, if you're a little few pounds overweight, is like go for a walk. So anyways, I just think it's funny. I remember I was watching that Matt Damon movie one of those nights recently in the last month or something, and I'm watching a robot like beat the hell out of him in the movie Elysium, and then it goes to a commercial right after he's getting his, like, the lights kicked out of him by Terminator 2. It goes to a commercial about Waymo and self-driving cars and how miraculous they are, and like some dude letting the robot drive him. It's like the elites, the point I'm bringing this up, the elites don't even hide it anymore. They don't even have to hide it, because the American people, not you, but the American people are so dumb that they literally can't connect the dots. So it's not like they even try to hide what they're doing anymore. They literally tell you exactly what's going to be done. And the American people still comply. I've always hated that word. What a disgusting word, compliance. Think about that, compliance. We're not complying to anything, dude. How about we'd appreciate your cooperation and then you still say no? Like, cooperation's a better word. Compliance is the boot of tyrannical slavery force. Anytime you hear the word comply, okay, that is not a friendly term. That is a very aggressive term. That is a forced, tyrannical term. So let's get back to the tariffs here for a minute. You know, what we're kind of seeing now too, and I've said this before, but we're moving to a command economy. So Donald Trump, using political influence, is now calling out Walmart not to raise prices. And he could put a lot of pressure. He could encourage an entire boycott of Walmart, cost them billions of dollars if he wants to. So think about that. But also think about how we're becoming a command government, like a command economy system where there are almost price controls. And I do believe that the president will roll out price controls at some point, because they'll be forced to, because as they've fixed the system and they're now resetting it and transitioning it to my long-standing prediction, because it was all a setup, and they set up the American sheep for the blockchain Bitcoin transfer years and years and years ago. As inflation continues to skyrocket and get out of control, there's going to be no other option but to force government power into a price-controlled economy, which is not a good thing, to be honest. So we're moving less and less from capitalism now to more and more command center. We saw this in Russia too, like when the USSR collapsed. And America is going through a collapse, by the way. We're building a new America, and I'm very bullish on the new America, and I'm bullish on the things Trump is doing, but they're not building old America. I've said this for a long time. They're building an entirely new system, an entirely new city-state. This is why we want to open our borders to Canada, Greenland. We want the mineral rights, and we want a larger landmass for military protection and also access to key mineral rights and resources. Same reason for the war in Ukraine. So get it out of your head. We're not going back to the old way of life. There's a new way of life coming. Bitcoin, blockchain, they're moving full force ahead with energy infrastructure. Those are going to be some winning investments too. They're going to need tons of energy for blockchain tech, tons of it. This will also include nuclear energy. Remember how for a long time they weren't going to do any nuclear? Now they're all for it. Remember when they used to tell you there was peak oil, there wasn't enough oil? Now there's too much because they invented fracking. Lie after lie after deception after lie after deception after lie after deception. You should notice a trend. Your government is evil. They can't be trusted. They're cucks and they hate you. And that should be your, those are just instincts. Like when I was growing up, I was sitting at school and being like, I don't understand why they're teaching me this right now. And I would always see a better way. I'm like, well, I don't have to do that. Even if they're like teaching me math, I'm like, well, you gave me 10 steps, but I figured it out in 2. So why are you teaching me this again? Some of it I did enjoy, but they do teach some strange things in school nowadays. Like I remember they taught us calligraphy. It's beautiful. I love art. I actually kind of enjoyed doing it. I'm a creative person, but I was like, I've never used calligraphy a day in my freaking life. So why teach it? Remember how in school they made you memorize random infinite dates? Like, when did this happen? On what day and specific time of the month and year? No one's ever used that. Like, maybe highlight some of the significant events of history, like a few of them, but reciting mindless droned dates proves they treat you like an idiot. Proves that the last thing they want is critical thought and expenditure of your brain mass and your brain matter. For example, just like when they locked everyone down in 2020, it was obvious to see it was all one big setup scam because the amount of force and the fear-mongering that they had to implement by controlling all the networks, all the television stations, all radio, all the sports, hiring celebrities, paying them millions of dollars to broadcast the same message, proved to the point that it couldn't be trusted. Like what would you tell your daughter if she went out on a date and some guy was pressuring her into something she didn't want to do? She's like, no, I don't want to comply, but he keeps pressuring. Well, I know what I would do. I'd at the very least come out with a shotgun and a baseball bat and I'd have my way. Do you understand? These are just common instincts. And we can talk about that too. I mean, my reasons have always been spiritual because I hear God at a very intimate level, which I'm blessed to hear him, as I do, as many of you do too. I'm not saying I'm special. I'm saying you guys hear the same things. We're on the same spiritual wavelength. But I know a lot of people that refused just because they know it's not good for them. They literally know. They're health conscious. They're like, I'm not touching it, Christopher. They remember what baby powder did to little infants. Caused cancer. And I say this all the time. People want to know, well, why is everyone dying? Why is everybody sick? How come cancer rates are up exponentially? Well, I'll tell you why. It's the system. It's the people you're complying to. It's what they're putting in your air and your water. It's what they're doing. Do not comply. You don't see the animal kingdom coming down with aggressive rates of turbo cancers. You don't. Because it's not in their system. By the way, in the movie Superman, another parallel. Their big focus, too, was the codex of humanity that they were preserving on Krypton. Just like the same messaging we're getting now. The codex of human beings. Altered. Get it? There's so much there. It's so deep. It's actually worth watching because it's a high-level thinking process that you go through. And you can see the message that they want you to believe. So, yeah, on a positive front, super bullish. Again, I believe this is kind of like our last little pause shakeout before the breakout. You heard it here first. So don't let them get your bags, okay? Trump's got it fully under control. They've positioned for the Bitcoin takeover. All of America is about to be overthrown by Bitcoin. All of it. The US dollar, dead, pissed on. So, I've said this for years, but my prediction with Bitcoin wasn't a prediction. I'm talking full global reset. That's what I meant when I recommended Bitcoin. I didn't mean like, it's a little cool investment. You might make a few $1,000,000. No, I'm talking, you'll do all that. I'm talking about a full societal overthrow. So I've said this for years, but my advice for Bitcoin wasn't just, like financial stewardship. I'm talking about the whole system is now going to be overthrown by it. That's how big it is. There is a space race to accumulate Bitcoin, crypto, real estate, real assets, commodities. The list goes on and on. So it's a major opportunity. And other than that, we see some positive developments as we predicted here, by the way. I said that there's going to be peace negotiation in Ukraine. Trump is working the art of the deal with Iran, with their nuclear proliferation. You get a couple things like that, a ceasefire here and there, some settling down, piping down in Israel. Boom. It's the perfect recipe for a hyperinflationary up-only collapse. But don't think that the system isn't collapsing. It's a collapse up, and I've said this for a generation now. They're resetting the system into a hyperinflationary wealth transfer, of which they're going to funnel all the new capital to the elites and the new system. And people like Michael Saylor with his Bitcoin company, MicroStrategy, and all these other companies from Amazon to Google to Microsoft to Tesla will all be forming, as they're doing now, and will be soon announced, massive crypto stockpiles and Bitcoin reserves. All of this will hit every major asset class, from real estate to stocks to the corporate balance sheets that Americans own through various investment vehicles like index funds, ETFs, and every other thing that they have out there on the markets. Just like we talked about Coinbase, which I recommended their IPO, along with Palantir, I recommended their IPO as well. But Coinbase, now a part of the S&P 500, means that every retirement account, typically that owns an index fund now, or an ETF that represents the SPY, the SPY now owns Bitcoin, like I always said. Remember how so many people used to say, well, I'm not going to touch that Bitcoin. I'm like, oh, you'll own it whether you like it or not. You're just going to own it later when it's trading at $1 million, and you're going to miss all the gains, and you won't get rich. And that's what I've been saying. It's the same thing now. We're still early, though. I mean, you've got to think about the day when Bitcoin is trading at $2 to $3 million a coin, which is my prediction. There's higher predictions that others have made, all the way up to 13 million. And then the question you should be asking is, then what? Right? That's the question I ponder most days now, is not Bitcoin certainty. We already know that's a guarantee. We've already made so much money. But like, I think about it more of, well, what happens then? That's what I'm looking towards now. I'm always looking out further, 10, 20 years minimum, to the next major trend. I think a lot of it is going to instinctually play out in the AI space. So I would definitely keep your nose to the grindstone, and I'd be experimenting, as I do daily, with all kinds of things. I mean, I'm like writing music and stuff with AI programs now. I'm creating art with AI programs. I'm working with other collaborators that are creating AI-related infrastructure for us. All of this plays into blockchain. It plays directly into islandproject.com, of course, because, not only do we own the best portfolio of real estate in the world, click the link below, make sure you get in, but in addition to that, we are going to change and are already changing the entire game of real estate ownership. But also transactionally, all of that changes. Fractional ownership, instant liquidity, the ability to borrow against your investment. I mean, the list goes on and on. Autonomy, sovereignty. And we can even look back to Superman. Again, Superman is almost a sovereign individual in a way, seeding humanity, but he's the good codex, merging with human beings. You can see how that's kind of playing out. And, leading the charge into like a new technological frontier. Which again, this is the common ethos of even Island Project and the Digital Noah's Ark, even if it goes without saying, is that We're the new frontier. We're the new 13 colonies. We're the new 1776. We're the new pioneers that have set sail just like America was formed, because where the winning is, where the opportunity is, where the ingenuity is always the next big thing. You've got to find where things are going. Where's the water going to move? Where are the trends going to go? And what blows my mind too, and how we know Bitcoin is going to accelerate exponentially, is there's very little debt in the Bitcoin markets yet. So now that we have MicroStrategy and copycat companies, and then the fake Wall Street financial system that owns all this debt, now they're going to start printing all the debt and issuing all the debt to buy the Bitcoin that'll only send it higher. And then Bitcoin by itself is indirectly into the scam of this horse crap fake system that makes up America, right? Like the westernized financial system. It's all fake and built on lies and debt, right? And fakeness. But Bitcoin will keep sailing in price as it indirectly benefits, this is game theory, from the takeover of now the companies getting involved like BlackRock and issuing free money to buy it. So it's literally going to be out of control. Like, I'm actually really excited. So, other than that, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. It's time to declare your own victory. On board the digital Noah's Ark with us. Get in to the Lamborghini and the Rolex of real estate, fractionally owned with 100% no bank debt, all 100% equity rights and use and enjoyment. It's a lifestyle investment. You can't do that with the stock. Amazing faith first, God first community, a whole heck of a lot more, future income distributions. And keep this in mind too, the Island Project Founders Round, which is only ever going to be one, which gives you access to our token launch, see our intent to tokenize, is also a living, breathing entity, just like you see behind me. Keep in mind that our portfolio over time grows, evolves in a way. It includes new acquisitions, new opportunities, new spec developments, new ideas. You know, that is a living, breathing, almost financial entity that will continue in legacy form for a very long time. So, I love you all. Enjoy the view. I did get a question, and yeah, someone could say that. Someone asked a question, there's always debt with real estate. Well, not ours. We have no bank debt. And, you know, I get asked logistical questions. Well, my management company, our team pays property taxes and insurance based on the property type. Keep in mind, our properties are rented out 80% of the time. They're generating thousands and thousands of dollars a day in operating income that then pays taxes and insurance over time as the property portfolio increases. So I've said this before, but even without our token launch, let's say we never tokenize, Island Project Founders Round will still be worth hundreds of millions of dollars naturally just over time, because it's a real estate play. Married with blockchain and Bitcoin is really just up only cherry on top. You know, you're lucky to become a multimillionaire with us as a result. It's a win-win. I love you all. Call Papa John, 808-442-2934. That's 808-442-2934. We have a minimum of 150 units. Make sure you get in. Feel free to ask us any questions, and I'll never contact you on WhatsApp. We'll never reach out to you directly through instant messenger or anything like that. So if you want to contact and speak with us, make sure you call us or visit our only official website, islandproject.com, and fill out an app by clicking the Buy Now button, and that's how you get in. We accept crypto too, by the way. ACH, wire transfer, credit, debit card. Now's the time to act. And you know what? I'm just going to set up the camera here for a minute and shut up. I just want you to kind of just enjoy the view with me. Just enjoy it and listen for a minute. Love you all. God bless you. Jesus Christ is with you. Never give up. Join the winning team. You guys are amazing. Have a beautiful day. I'll keep you updated and I'll be doing more videos. I'm praying for all of you. Just know that. Thank you for your prayers too. Keep the faith.